It's about to start.
Live streaming is on.
Hey everyone, welcome. This is the first prototype Friday. Linda, you can switch it to the slide deck. Yeah. So we are the first prototype. I have with me Linda and Amira. We are hosting another week of First Prototype Fridays. If you guys haven't watched this before, we essentially talk about design and development. Some fun topics we pick and we do a little bit of research and we essentially present. So this week's this week we decided to do something more interesting. Linda will be speaking about user personas in design, and Linda's an amazing designer, a product designer that joined us recently, and after that we will go over some of the advancements in mobile AR and what are the drawbacks that we currently have and where that industry is moving towards. So yeah, Linda, you can carry the torch.
Sorry. Hi guys, today I'm going to talk about user persona in UX design. So here's the topic. What is user persona and why do you need a persona? How do you define a user persona, and some final thoughts about how to use user personas. So this is an example of user persona. As a UX designer, you'll start the design process by conducting a user research, which like you need to target your user and identify what is exactly they need from the product you are designing. So user persona is so a user persona is generally based on the user's research and incorporate the needs, goals, and the observed behavior pattern of your target audience. So here's a example of user persona. It's a mom that like have, and there are like a fake name, a fake an image drawn from online. So from that you can imagine what's this person's needs and what's this person's motivation and what concerns them. So from there, so you can design your product that can best suit your target audience. So why do you need a user persona? So whenever you are developing a smartphone app or a mobile responsive web, it's very important to understand who will be using the product. In order to solve a real user problem, you'll need to have a clear problem statement in mind. In order to write this problem statement, you first need to understand your user and their needs. Knowing your audience will help influence the feature and design elements you choose, thus making your product more useful. A user persona clarifies who is your target audience by answering who is my ideal customer, what is the current behavior pattern of my user, what are the needs and goals of my users, and what issue and pain point do they currently face within the given context. It's also helping you describe the individual who uses your product and help you strategize and marketing smart design decisions. Yeah, and how do you define a user persona? So you need a header, demographic profile, and goal and scenario. So first one, header. The header includes a fictional name, image, and a quote that summarize what matters most to the persona as it relates to your product. This feature aids to improving memorability, keeping your design team focused on the user they are building the product for. And let's imagine that you are designing a travel app. The foundation of your user persona could look like this. You have a name and their summary quote. Second, and add a demographic profile. So the demographic profile includes four main sections: a personal background, professional background, user environment, and the psychographics. The personal background includes the details such as job, occupation, income level, and work experience, so that you can define your user more precisely. The user environment. The user environment represents the physical, social, and technological context of the user. This section is used to answer questions like what technology devices do users have access to? Do they spend most of their time in a corporate office or a home office? And the last but not least is the psychographics. Psychographics include the details such as an attitude, interest, motivation, and pain point. Creating a psychographic profile enables you to better understand why your user behave in a certain way, including why they use your product. So the last section is additional suggestion. Um, for me, additional suggestion might to create the user persona includes avoid adding too much detail that is not relevant to the product design. And the user persona is a key to find ideal customer in real life so that you can test and validate your product with real people. And when creating user persona, remember to focus on the context of the product you are designing and make sure the persona is specific and realistic. Last but not least, persona is more powerful when combined with additional user experience design methods such as usability testing and test analysis. And I'm going to switch over to Samir for augmented reality.
So really quick, you can just stay over there for now. So could you go up to the user persona that you presented? So that means for example, let's say we have a game, okay, called Number Bomb.
Mhm.
Okay, so what would the user persona look like for that game?
So for that game, so first you need to design what's the age group and the gender group that your game is targeting to. So for me, because Number Bomb is a very simple and easy game, so I might target from like for example age from 5 to 30, for example, so that from that you can define. So one thing I forgot to clarify is that you don't need to make just one user persona. You can make multiple user persona just based on one project. So for me, if I'm going to make a user persona on that game that we built, not the Number Bomb game, so I might create a user persona on a 10-year-old boy who go to school or like who's currently attending online school, and what device he or she has access to, and what's his daily routine and what will attract him to play the game, and then what's like his, yeah, it's basically like that.
Okay. So let's say once we make a user persona and we say that the biggest user of our app of our game is
Mm,
going to be kids from the age of um, like I would say 12 to 18. Okay,
mhm.
so let's say that they're 12 to 18. So what changes would we make in our app, or what would we do differently in our app if that was the case?
So for me, I will build a user persona before I start making the game. But since we have made the game, so if your target audience is that age group, so I might focus on like adding some music that's really aggressive and kind of motivated to for them to listen to while they play the game. Or secondly, I might add a share function where they can share the game with their friends within their community. And I will also try to design some multiple levels for them because they get very they get tired of a game very easily. So I might add some multiple levels or like a more difficult mode for them. So this is my plan.
Yeah, that's actually a very good idea. Those are pretty good suggestions. I think it makes sense, especially it kind of explains why having a persona is pretty important before you start to actually design. It's good to think about, okay, what are we doing? Who is this for? And then specializing the app for those people. I think that makes a lot of sense. Okay, I can take it from here if you want to give me access. Um,
Uh, how do I give access back? Is
I
that
think stop sharing. So this is good. Share. Yeah, that was a good presentation. Thank you. And okay, now I'm going to present. So augmented reality. What is augmented reality, and where do you see it? So imagine that you are, you want to buy some furniture, and you don't know how it looks in your house. And you're like, I don't know if this color is going to look good. I don't know how big this sofa is. Is it going to fit in this place? So, like, luckily, we have come so far with technology now that you can just download the app for the manufacturer of your furniture. So, IKEA, for example, has this app where where you can select some of their furniture pieces, and it essentially projects it onto your room, and so it'll act as if it is there in real life. And so you can see, hey, does it fit over here? What color looks good? Where? And then there's a lot of other places that we have seen AR. I think one of the most popular AR apps ever is definitely the Pokemon Go. I don't know if you guys ever played Pokemon or ever played Pokemon Go. It was super popular. I loved it. It was pretty realistic and cool. Um, and I mean, it got a lot of people to walk outside of their house. Their like parks were full because of that app. So you can really make a huge difference with um, augmented reality. Another pretty good application of AR is um, essentially industrial locations. So in industrial locations, or even like airplanes, for example, there's way too many switches, and having a book that explains each and every switch can be very, very time consuming. So if you need a particular switch at that moment immediately, there's no better way than just taking out your app, opening the camera, and pointing towards that switch. When you tap on it, it will tell you exactly what that switch does, all the information about it. And there's different modes for augmented reality. We'll kind of talk about it in a little bit. So one type of augmented reality, and the one that's used at the bottom over here, is they usually have some sort of like, you can think of a QR code or something. So it's a design that is stored in the app. So as soon as it sees that design, it knows what it's looking at, and it will immediately start explaining everything. But the other one is where you need a plane. So if you look at the one on the right and on the left, once you're at a certain distance, you put your camera and it will scan the area for a flat surface that can be scanned. And once it knows exactly where the surface is and what the distance is to the floor, it is able to project stuff into the open. So there's two main ways of doing this. And when you're building apps, you'll notice that some companies, they will provide you, like, they will make you print something on a piece of paper. Once you print it, you can essentially get that AR in front of you. So you don't need a complex or a big area for creating a plane. So one of the reasons why um, one of the reasons why AR is not as popular yet is because of Android. So usually Android is much faster than iOS in terms of like development and technology, especially in terms of like hardware. But iOS has really kicked Android out of the park with augmented reality. They have created a lot of really really good tools that developers are able to use to make these games in a very easy fashion comparatively. And so Android is lagging way behind, and that's why you don't see as many apps um, for augmented reality. Like there's a lot of things, for example, creating shadows. With iOS, you're actually able to project the shadow on a surface. So depending on what distance the light is at, what distance the surface is at from the object, it creates like a bigger or smaller shadow. So it's pretty amazing what iOS has been able to do. So as I told you, so the the one in the middle over there, generally they ask you to print a piece of paper. Like for example, Lego, they might give you like a piece. Like if you see over there, he has that Lego piece on the bottom right, and he's able to create all these moving objects around it. So the app has stored that object, and so as soon as it sees the object, it knows, okay, what is the depth, what is the height, that I have to create everything. So there's two main ways, as we'll see throughout AR. And then in the center, basically what they're doing is you place something on your table, and it you can basically play Angry Birds on your table instead of just using the app. Sorry. And then, oh, sorry. Are you able to see my screen? Hello?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. So, I mean, there's a lot of applications. And a lot of companies have gotten rich using AR. You guys probably know about Snapchat. Like Snapchat has these filters that you can essentially open your mouth or take your tongue out, and it'll make you look like a dog with ears and stuff like that. It can make you look scary and things like that. And so that has made it very popular amongst the younger people, and also amongst a lot of women who like to make all these pictures and send it to their friends. um, so Snapchat obviously has been able to do so much with the technology, and then they use a lot of their own proprietary software. So I believe the software that they are using was sold for like $150 million or something like that. Because he was able to do all this complex work and scan, know exactly what part of your body is where, what part of your face is where, And even though some people may have a beard, some people may be wearing like glasses, they're still able to recognize faces really well. So Snapchat did a really good job. So 3D scanning is something that we're also going to be doing here at the first prototype in a few weeks, where essentially what used to happen for some cases, like for example, if you have like um, a foot that is injured, or if you have like a hand that is injured, and you need to create a mold in order to create a cast for your specific hand. So generally, you would use clay, and you put your foot in it, or you put your hand in that clay, and you make the mold, and then you send that clay, which is really big and heavy, all the way to wherever it's being manufactured or sensed. And so that costs a lot of money, it takes a lot of time, and instead, with mobile apps, especially if you have AR, you are actually able to just do it from your phone, and with a click of a button it's done. So it's really transforming the industry these days, and we're going to see a quick example of how accurate these things are. And there's also another app called Seeing AI. It's a Microsoft app, and they made it free for people. But basically, for people who are not able to see, who are blind, they're able to open the app and keep their phone up, and the phone announces anything that they see. So if they see a cat, the phone will say cat. If they see an orange, the phone will say orange. And so they know that they can trust what they're eating, or what they're looking at. And the other thing is that there is a way, if you don't have advanced AR on on your phone, or if you don't have lidar on your phone, you can buy these devices, these cameras that essentially do that work instead. But obviously it's expensive. There's extra thing that you have to take with you all the time. It takes a lot of battery, finishes the battery of your phone, blah blah blah, a lot of other stuff. However, we're getting to the place where it is going to be more sustainable to implement AR applications, because companies don't want to create apps only for one platform. They want to do it for both. Another really popular application is the Measure app on iOS. It's a free app made by Apple, and you can essentially measure dimensions of a box, of your room, of your sofa. You don't need a measuring tape anymore. So that's pretty cool. Now, let me show you an example of like what the 3D scanning looks like. So I have this application in my hand, and essentially it's used to create 3D scans of anything. It doesn't have to be your face. Okay, so let's try to create a 3D scan of my hand. Oh, what do I do? Yeah. I pressed the wrong button. Let me try it again. Okay, yeah. So it basically tells you, okay, this is what you do. You scan it, and then you can save it as an object that you can 3D print. So you can, the OBJ file is an object that is recognized by some 3D softwares that you can use to convert it to a 3D printer file object, which is STL, or stereolithographic file. Anyway, so you press let's go. It says, hey, I'd like to use your camera. Perfect. And object you are scanning should remain still. So I'm just going to keep this still. Okay. I think it's pretty still. Let's give it a try. Oh, okay, I had to press the button first. My bad. Yeah. Pressing the button. I'm putting it around. And yeah, there we go. So if you guys are able to see, it created this really cool object, and it's like it's pretty accurate. Like you can see the bumps in the hand. You see that? Really, really cool. Yeah, technology's come pretty far. And so even with 3D scanning, there's so many different types of 3D scanning. There is point cloud, there's a cloud mesh, you know, and both of them are different, but they both have their drawbacks. And but this specific one, that's, if you see, it's very high quality. This is using a cloud mesh, and that's why it's high quality. Anyway, we can go about this for a very long time, because this is like really interesting stuff for sure. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to let us know. Thank you so much for joining us. Linda, did you guys have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Amira?
No, I have no questions. Can you share the presentation?
Yeah. I mean, we're sharing the video is live streamed, so I can share the YouTube video.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much. No questions. If you guys have any questions at all, feel free to email us or just message us on Twitter, Instagram, and all that. And I hope you guys have a great rest of the day and good weekend.